I can't believe we are still talking about this person, but guess who's in the news again now? It's Kim Davis. You thought we were done with her a decade ago. No, she's still around. Kim Davis, of course, is the infamous Kentucky Rowan County clerk. Her job, her one job 10 years ago, is you got to sign the marriage licenses when they come in the office. And then in 2015, a gay couple said, hey, Obergefell says marriage equality is legal nationwide, and we would like to get our marriage license in this county in Kentucky. Please sign our papers. And Kim Davis is like, no, because I'm Christian. And the right answer to that is nobody cares. You have a job to do. You're the county clerk. Sign my papers. And she's like, I will not. Why are you persecuting me? Anyway, that's the Kim Davis story from like 10 years ago. And one of the gay couples sued her over this, and she lost. And a jury said she had to pay them $100,000, and they appealed it. And then she had to pay over $250,000 in legal fees. Like, it's just been a debacle for Kim Davis, because every judge who comes across this case is like, you were the county clerk. You don't get to decide which laws you're going to follow. You just have to sign the marriage certificate. And she refused to do it. And Liberty Counsel is the right-wing hate group that is representing her. And I think 10 years ago, they're like, we can make money off of this. So they said, hey, Kim Davis, we'll take care of all your legal defense. And then we're going to fundraise like hell off of it. And then they lose, and they lose, and they lose. And Kim Davis is the one on the hook for paying whatever, like $360,000 right now, because Liberty Counsel is not paying for that. But every time Liberty Counsel is like, wait, we're not done yet. We're going to keep appealing. And what happened recently, and the reason you might have seen Kim Davis in the news, is because a few weeks ago, Liberty Counsel, on Kim Davis's behalf, said, hey, Supreme Court, we want you to take a look at this case, and we want you to overturn the earlier decisions. Oh, and by the way, while you're at it, we want you to overturn Obergefell as well, and basically erase marriage equality nationwide. You already did it with Roe v. Wade. You overturned that. Now do it with marriage equality. And that's disturbing. But that's what they're doing here. And I think to talk about this, there's a couple things you really need to know if you were lucky enough to not remember who Kim Davis was, if you forgot she existed. Let me remind you of the inherent hypocrisy in the life of Kim Davis, because today's episode is all about Christian hypocrisy, all right? Kim Davis's entire adult life right now is opposing same-sex marriage because it destroys the sanctity of marriage, which is something she, as a conservative Christian, holds very dear. Now, how important is marriage to her? So important, she's done it over and over and over. Let me read this for you. In chronological order, here is what she did. See if you can keep track. She married husband 1. She had twins with future husband 3. She divorced husband 1. She married husband 2. She divorced husband 2. Then she married husband 3. Then she divorced husband 3, the baby daddy. Then she remarried husband 2. And that's where we are today. That's Kim Davis's life, just like Jesus wanted. And years ago, she came out with a book. It was a memoir. It was published by Liberty Counsel. Again, just trying to make money off of this woman. And I read it because I hate myself. And she explained, like, people make fun of me because of all of my marriages. However, the thing they don't understand, she said, is that God wasn't in the picture until husband 2's mother died. And so they went back to church in 2011. And that's when she became born again. So basically, all those marriages don't count because only the marriage she's in right now happened while she's a Christian. So stop making fun of her, everybody. And then she was trying to, she knew that wouldn't work. So she said, I find the whole thing to be an example of divine irony. Basically, she said, haha, God took a woman who's been married 4 times, and he's using her to defend marriage against the gays. Isn't that so mysterious of God? Like, no, you're just a hypocrite. But anyway, her legal history, like I said, is she refused to sign a marriage license for a gay couple, for a couple of them, but she refused to do it in 2015. They sued. And in 2022, so it took a while. In 2022, a federal judge said, you broke the law when you did this. You're a government worker, and your personal beliefs cannot override the law you swore to uphold. So you lost. And in 2023, a jury heard this case to assess damages, and they didn't buy anything she was saying. So they said to the 2 gay men whose marriage license you would not sign, we award them $50,000 each. So that's where the $100,000 fine came from. Liberty Counsel said she had qualified immunity. You cannot sue her for being Kentucky County Clerk. And the jury was like, yeah, but we are not convinced by that argument either. And so Liberty Counsel keeps appealing this decision, and they keep losing. And like I said, Kim Davis now owes like over $250,000 plus the $100,000 fee. It's crazy. Now, Liberty Counsel has been saying for years now, we're going to keep appealing this to the Supreme Court. We got nothing better to do in our lives, so we're going to keep doing it. We don't care. It's been a decade. And my initial hunch is the only reason they're doing this is because Liberty Counsel wants to prolong the Kim Davis story as long as possible, because they just send scary emails to their gullible elderly followers saying, Kim Davis is going to go to jail soon. You don't want that to happen, do you? Give us money so that we can defend her in court. They've been sending a version of that email for 10 years now. And I'm sure they make money off of that thing. So on July 24th, Liberty Counsel filed their case, their petition with the Supreme Court. And here's the thing. Anybody can ask the Supreme Court to take up their case. Anybody can do it. It's like applying to an Ivy League school. Anybody can apply. The question is, who is the school actually going to take? What cases is the Supreme Court actually going to take up? And the fact is, the Supreme Court says no to pretty much every request. Why would they say yes? Because it's a very pertinent issue that they feel they need to take a stance on right away. Maybe 2 lower courts have had different opinions on the same thing, and the Supreme Court needs to step in to resolve it. That's a reason for the Supreme Court to step in. Or it could be like abortion rights, and they're like, yeah, we just want this because it allows us to hurt the people we don't like. That's another reason. And this one would squarely fall in the, do we hate gay people enough that we want to destroy their lives? And the thing is, I don't even know if this Supreme Court cares about that much. But we'll find out. I mean, they will make their decision on this in the next couple of months. So what is Liberty Counsel asking for? Well, one thing they're saying is Kim Davis has a First Amendment right to the free exercise of religion. You can't force her to sign this marriage license because that's violating her religious beliefs. And that argument has not worked for them. And I'll show you this. This is from one of the appellate courts when they heard this argument. This is what the judges said. Indeed, it is not difficult to imagine the dire possibilities that might follow if Kim Davis's arguments were accepted. A county clerk who finds interracial marriage sinful could refuse to issue licenses to interracial couples. An election official who believes women should not vote, hey, Doug Wilson reference, could refuse to count ballots cast by females. A zoning official personally opposed to Christianity could refuse to permit the construction of a church. All these officials would have wielded state power to violate constitutional rights, but they would have followed their conscience, which Davis believes provides a defense to liability. That is not how the Constitution works, which is really a judicial way of saying, what the hell are you wasting our time for? Your argument is dumb, and you are dumb. So then, Liberty Counsel finally says the thing they are dying to say. Look at this. This is in Liberty Counsel's request to the Supreme Court. Davis may have been one of the first victims of this court's cavalier treatment of religion in its Obergefell decision, but she will not be the last. You guys, the Supreme Court decision to legalize marriage equality, it has ruined her life. She cannot focus on her fourth marriage because she's trying to stop gay people from having their first marriage. How dare you? This flawed opinion has produced disastrous results, leaving individuals like Davis finding it increasingly difficult to participate in society without running afoul of Obergefell and its effect on other anti-discrimination laws. This is seriously the dumb argument they are using for why the Supreme Court needs to get rid of Obergefell. Kim Davis cannot participate in polite society. She cannot participate in... What is she doing with her life that gay people getting married ruins her life? Like, what, is she not getting invited to all the same-sex weddings? Because she wasn't going to get invited to them in the first place. What, is she having a hard time finding husbands 5 through 8? I don't get it. Like, if I'm being more serious about this, Liberty Counsel is saying, hey, look, Roe v. Wade looked like it was settled law, but it used a flimsy argument, and the Supreme Court can overturn that flimsy argument, and they did. And that's why abortion rights are like left up to the states now. What Liberty Counsel is saying is marriage equality, the Obergefell decision, was rooted in the 14th Amendment, but like the Constitution did not guarantee a right to marry in the 14th Amendment, and it's not historical. The Supreme Court now loves anything based in history. They said marriage equality is not historical, and so if you overturn Roe v. Wade, you can overturn Obergefell. Liberty Counsel also says that if you did overturn Obergefell, all these liberals are going to be mad. They're going to say you're going to like break up gay couples who are already married. Liberty Counsel says that's not going to happen. It would just return the definition of marriage to the states where it belongs, and it would only apply to gay couples trying to get married moving forward. So if you're a gay couple in a red state, and that state says, all right, we're one man, one woman, you have to be Christian, you have to be white, and you can only be like first cousins, it's Alabama, that's what we do here. Like, if they want to do that, it would only apply moving forward. But you know why that's going to be the case? You know why they're right that it would not affect gay couples who are already married? Because in 2022, Joe Biden signed the Respect for Marriage Act that solidified gay marriage. Like, they can't overturn it. It's now a legislative thing that marriage equality is legal nationwide. And it was such a controversial thing at the time that even Republicans who really dislike the gays are like, ah, shit, I gotta vote for this, don't I? Otherwise, it's going to hound me forever. So it didn't even matter that Democrats did not have a filibuster-proof majority. The Respect for Marriage Act passed through Congress. Joe Biden signed it in 2022. And now Liberty Counsel's like, look, see, we're being nice here. We're not trying to break up gay couples. Like, they would have, but they can't because Democrats did something. Now, why is this actually going to happen? I mean, that's the question we really got to think about. And according to ABC News, the only reason this is a big story at all, and this is relevant, the petition from Liberty Counsel appears to mark the first time since 2015 that the court has been formally asked to overturn the landmark marriage decision. Davis is seen as one of the only Americans currently with legal standing to bring a challenge to the precedent, which is interesting because, like, there are plenty of Christians who oppose marriage equality, but just being offended by it doesn't mean you get to sue over it. Kim Davis might have a legitimate claim to at least make the request to overturn it because she got fired. She had to resign because she wouldn't support marriage equality. So that's interesting. But it doesn't really matter that she's able to do it because, again, legally speaking, it's unlikely that they're going to use Kim Davis as their vehicle to overturn marriage equality. They already, I mean, the Supreme Court has to know despite their 6-3 conservative supermajority. They have to know if you do this, one, people are going to be pissed off, just like they were pissed off with Roe v. Wade. But also, this is not, unlike abortion, this is not a thing that gets massive support from conservative Christians. Like, even a lot of Christians are like, we don't care if gay people are allowed to get married. Like, some people definitely are, but by and large, even among Christians, they're not really bothered by marriage equality. The sky did not fall when gay couples were allowed to marry. So, legally speaking, there's no good reason for the Supreme Court to take this up. It was unlikely they would have taken it up at all. The fact that there's no the fact that there's no judicial controversy over this in the lower courts makes it harder for them to rationalize taking it up. I don't know. I will say in 2020, the court was asked by Kim Davis to take up a different type of case against her, and they said no. But Clarence Thomas and Sam Alito, they said, look, we agree we are not going to hear Kim Davis's case. But they said this in their explanation. Those with sincerely held religious beliefs concerning marriage will find it increasingly difficult to participate in society without running afoul of Obergefell and its effect on other anti-discrimination laws. And what did Liberty Counsel say in their request to the Supreme Court now? Kim Davis cannot participate in society because she is running afoul of Obergefell. Like, they quoted what Clarence Thomas said directly. Really saying, like, come on, justices, you asked for this. We're giving it to you. Take it up, overturn it. What you should know is, according to Lambda Legal, 9 states have already introduced legislation to block marriage licenses for LGBTQ people. But it doesn't matter because marriage equality exists. 9 states have also passed resolutions urging the Supreme Court to reverse Obergefell because they want to see this happen. And you may recall that the Southern Baptist Convention held their annual convention like a couple of months ago. One of the things they voted on, their delegates voted on, was to make a top priority of overturning laws and court rulings, including Obergefell, that defy God's design for marriage and family. So, like, Southern Baptists really want this to happen. But these people who love to pretend to be victims, they really think their religion gives them the right to break the law and discriminate and then pretend they are martyrs. You know, the funny thing about this is that Kim Davis always had one very simple option available to her. If she didn't want to sign those marriage licenses, she just could have resigned right then and there. Because imagine if she did that. If she said, the state's making me sign this document, I don't want to do it, so I'm resigning, she would have been a Christian hero. But instead, she said, I'm not resigning, but I'm not signing your certificate. And because she chose that route, she became the government employee who couldn't do her job. And now she's a laughing stock for the nation, just a symbol of Christian selfishness and Christian cruelty. And she has these idiot lawyers who repeatedly make mistakes in her case, but they've made so much money off of her that they're not going to stop doing it now. I think there's one thing I wanted to show you. This is an actual email that I got from Liberty Counsel, because I'm on their mailing list because I hate myself. Look at how they're spinning this. Liberty Counsel has been preparing this Supreme Court case for 10 long years. Sadly, it often takes a decade and millions of dollars for cases to make their way through the lower courts to finally achieve justice at the highest court in the land. Liberty Counsel never charges our clients because we know that most people could never afford to fight these battles on their own. Right, but if Liberty Counsel loses, Kim Davis has to pay all this shit. But just as importantly, freedom is worth defending no matter the cost. If we do not win this case, Kim Davis will face bankruptcy, and Christians will become easy targets for persecution by the intolerant LGBTQ crowd. Defend Kim Davis with your gift today. Like, oh my God, Kim Davis could have avoided bankruptcy if she did her job, if she stopped trying to fight this. And also, how are Christians getting persecuted for marriage equality? They're not. This is all made up, but they're sending this to like their entire mailing list full of old grannies who are Christian and who live in fear, and also me because I don't know why I'm on their mailing list. Ridiculous. Like nothing like raising money from those people by trying to take away the civil rights of others. Look, I know I'm not a lawyer. I don't think the Supreme Court is going to take up this case. If they do, though, the results could be very, very catastrophic, not just for LGBTQ rights, but for the simple idea that Americans are equal under the law. Like, her case is not about religious freedom. It's about giving government officials permission to discriminate. And I don't know. I don't want to turn personal prejudices into federal policy. Kim Davis does not want the freedom to practice her faith because she already has that ability. She is asking for legal authority to weaponize her faith against people she doesn't like. And if she wins, conservatives will gut LGBTQ protections everywhere. And even if current same-sex marriages remain intact, the message is clear. Your rights are temporary, and we could take them away at any time, and it all matters on the crazy religious extremist whims of whoever happens to be in power. So, scary stuff. But again, I don't think it's going to happen. Knock on wood. We'll see. Okay, what questions we got here? Serial monogamy. We're not talking about Kim Davis. I don't know who we're talking about anymore. Shouldn't Christians try to outlaw divorce amongst themselves before they come after what other people do with their lives? First of all, conservative Christians absolutely want to eliminate no-fault divorce across the country. If they could do that, they absolutely would. But to your point, like, shouldn't they take care of this shit amongst themselves? It never works for anything. They get abortions. They have abuse, physical, spiritual, mental abuse in their churches. They always have solutions for what the rest of us should do. Meanwhile, they always have the same problems in their churches, and they never want to take care of their own house first. They always get people riled up by saying, let's fix the outside world because we are all perfect in here. Sure, we're like sinners, so we're imperfect, but like we're perfect. But everyone else needs help. So they would absolutely outlaw no-fault divorce. And listen, there are plenty of extremist Christians who would say, no, you just can't get divorced. If your husband is abusing you, so what? It's probably your fault. Deal with it. You can't leave. You made a commitment to God. Even if SCOTUS were to overturn Obergefell, the law at the time is what is applicable. Right. I'm sorry. I'm not sure what you're saying at the very end there. Ex post facto law is not a thing. But yeah, it would go to the states. They can't undo the marriages that happened in that time. But also, even if they found a way to try to go backtrack and undo it, like the legislative version of this in 2022 doesn't allow them to do it. But still, it would, I mean, gay people wouldn't be allowed to get married in a lot of states moving forward if they were to overturn Obergefell. Because those legislatures, the right-wing legislatures, are never going to allow that to happen. They're demonizing trans folks so much, and they actually have some gays on their side. They do that, they lose that support. Better to keep the trans boogeymen their focus. That's an interesting take on this. How many gay Republicans are there really, percentage-wise? Like, it can't be big. So I don't really think they're worried about losing the support of the 3 gay people who happen to be Republicans. I get what your point is, but I just don't think they get worked up about same-sex marriage today the way they used to in like 2004. Whereas abortion is the thing that riles up these people because they have no empathy for other people. I'm working on Graves Worth Pissing On. Hers will be in it at some reprinting. That sounds like a book. That seems very interesting. What do you do in that book? Just show pictures of tombstones? I'm very curious.